Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Now imagine yourself as a magnet, not for metal, but for miracles. You see, life does not respond to what we wish for. It responds to what we assume is already ours. You are not here to chase, you are here to become. When you act as if you are a magnet to miracles, you stop begging and begin attracting. The world around you is not solid and fixed. It is pliable, malleable, shaped by the inner movements of your consciousness. What you claim within, with feeling, with certainty, must take form in the outer world. So let me ask, what would it feel like if the miracle you desire were already yours? How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself if your heart's longing had already been fulfilled? That feeling, that state, is your magnetism. And when you live in it, dwell in it, breathe it, sleep in it, the universe has no choice but to conform. You do not attract miracles by waiting. You attract miracles by embodying the version of yourself who already lives in the miracle. You are not hoping. You are knowing. You are not asking. You are assuming. You are not wishing. You are being. This is the great secret. You are always becoming what you feel to be true. Not what you want to be true, but what you accept and feel as already done. Act as if you are a magnet to mirror, and you will be. Because the moment you shift within, the world must follow. Reality bends for the one who knows who they are. And who are you? You are the one for whom miracles are natural. You are the one whose imagination is sacred. You are the one whose assumption is law. You are the one who need not chase, because everything you desire is drawn to you like light to the sun. So go now. Stand tall. Breathe deep. Feel it real. And act as if you are a magnet to miracles, because you are. And miracles are already on their way. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything that you see, touch, taste, hear, and experience through the senses is a reflection of the invisible movements of consciousness. Before anything appears in the world, it must first be conceived in the inner realm of awareness. The world outside is not separate from you. It is the mirror of your inner state. What you hold as true in consciousness, what you feel to be real, becomes clothed in matter and steps into your world as fact. This means that your life is not unfolding based on chance, fate, or external forces beyond your control. It is shaped, moment by moment, by what you accept as real within yourself. Whether you are aware of it or not, your inner conversations, your emotional tones, your persistent thoughts are all forming the blueprint of your external experience. The outer world follows the inner world, just as a shadow follows the body. You may look around and think circumstances have power over you, but every circumstance is born from a state of consciousness. Poverty is a state. Wealth is a state. Health, love, loneliness, joy, all are states of being that emerge from within and express themselves in form. You can change your outer world only by altering your inner state, by shifting your awareness to dwell in a new assumption, a new feeling, a new identity. Your senses may try to convince you that the world is fixed, that what is happening now is the only truth, but the senses are only reporting what consciousness has already set into motion. They are not the cause, but the effect. If you want to change your life, you must rise above appearances and claim a higher state within. You must dare to believe in what is unseen and persist in that belief until it hardens into reality. Consciousness does not wait for permission. It does not require evidence. It simply is. And what you accept in consciousness, what you assume and feel with intensity and conviction, must externalize. You are not a passive observer in this world. You are its maker, not through force, but through awareness, not through struggle, but through assumption. Your world is yourself pushed out, and you can never experience anything that is not first a part of your inner world. Your assumptions shape your world. They are the quiet architects of your reality, forming the structure upon which all of your experiences are built. An assumption is not a passing thought or a fleeting hope. It is a belief accepted as true, often without question, and held so deeply that it becomes the lens through which life is interpreted. Every assumption you hold creates a mold, and life faithfully fills that mold with corresponding experiences. When you assume something about yourself, others, or the world, you set into motion unseen forces that begin to arrange circumstances in alignment with that inner state. It matters not whether the assumption is positive or negative, empowering or limiting. The law does not discriminate. It simply reflects. If you assume you are not worthy, that you are always overlooked, that life is hard, those assumptions crystallize into people, events, and conditions that echo them. On the other hand, if you assume you are favored, loved, successful, and powerful, the same law goes to work and reshapes the world to fit that inner acceptance. There is no need to force outcomes when your assumptions are firm. Once an assumption is planted and felt to be true, reality begins to rearrange itself to reflect it. People show up differently. Opportunities emerge. Ideas and solutions arrive in perfect timing. It may appear like coincidence or luck, but it is only the natural outworking of what was assumed within. You live not in the world of facts, but in the world of assumptions that gave birth to those. Every moment, you are assuming something about yourself, about what is possible, about what is inevitable. These silent inner agreements are not passive. They are creative acts, constantly forming and informing your experience. When you meet life with the inner knowing that things always work in your favor, that you are always guided, that what you desire is already on its way, the world has no choice but to respond in kind. Your reality bends to fit the shape of your most dominant assumption. It is not about effort or willpower, but about identification. When you identify with a certain truth and accept it as your own, you fuse with it. That fusion becomes your vibration, your frequency, your identity, and everything in your world rises to meet it. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you assume, because what you assume, you inevitably become. Feeling is the secret. It is the invisible bridge between the unseen and the seen, the internal and the external, the imagined and the experienced. Thought alone is not enough. It is the emotional charge behind the thought that gives it life and power. Feeling is the energy that activates your assumptions, impresses your desires upon the subconscious, and calls forth the experiences that match your inner state. The universe does not respond to empty words or mechanical affirmations. It responds to the emotional frequency behind them. When you say, "I am abundant, but feel lack," it is the feeling that the world reflects back to you, not the words. The subconscious mind, which creates your reality, is not moved by logic or reason. It is moved by feeling. Feeling is the language it understands, and it shapes your outer world according to the mood you consistently dwell in. Every time you imagine a scene and feel it as real, you are planting a seed in the fertile soil of the subconscious. That seed, watered by repeated feeling and belief, must grow into form. The more vivid the feeling, the quicker the manifestation. It is not enough to see your desire in the mind's eye. You must enter the scene emotionally, breathe in the atmosphere of the wish fulfilled, and let it become more real to you than your current surroundings. Feeling is the substance of faith. It is the deep knowing that what you desire is already yours, even before the evidence appears. It is not pretending or wishing. It is assuming the position emotionally and mentally until the body, mind, and soul all agree. In that agreement, reality begins to shift. Circumstances reconfigure. Time bends. Events begin to align with what you feel to be true. You can feel your way into a new reality. You can use feeling to step into abundance, love, health, and freedom, not in the distant future, but in this moment. When you feel it now, you become it now. The outer world has no choice but to catch up. Your feeling is your signal, your message to the universe, your energetic declaration of what is real for you. And that declaration never returns void. Live from the end, not toward it, not in anticipation of it, but from it, as if the desire has already been fulfilled, as if the goal is already accomplished, as if the miracle is already real. This is the secret place where creation begins. To live from the end is to assume the position of the one who already has, already is, already knows. It is a shift in identity, not a reaching or striving, but a surrender to the truth that what you desire is already done in the unseen. When you live from the end, your actions, your thoughts, your emotions begin to reflect a new reality. You stop asking when or how, because the end is already assumed. You are no longer concerned with signs or time frames, because the need for evidence dissolves in the presence of knowing. You walk, speak, and move as the person who no longer wants but possesses. The hunger is gone, the longing fades. In its place is peace, certainty, and quiet confidence. This state of consciousness draws all things to itself. It holds within it the vibration of the fulfilled desire, and since life mirrors your dominant state, the world reshapes itself to match it. Events unfold naturally. People respond differently. Circumstances align without strain. What once seemed distant begins to appear inevitable, because you are no longer separate from your desire. You are one with it. Living from the end means you close the gap between the imagined and the real. You bring the future into the present by assuming it is already so. You do not need to manipulate or convince. You simply dwell in the feeling of the outcome. Whether it be love, success, healing, or abundance, you mentally and emotionally occupy that place until it becomes your dwelling. That dwelling becomes your identity. That identity becomes your life. It is not about forcing appearances, but about inwardly anchoring yourself in the result. It is choosing again and again to feel the joy, the gratitude, the relief of your desire fulfilled. Even when the senses say otherwise, even when the world has yet to catch up, you remain faithful to the end. You wear it like a garment, you sleep in it, walk in it, breathe in it, because to you it is real, more real than anything outside. Imagination creates reality. It is the workshop of the unseen, the birthplace of every form, every experience, every event that unfolds in your world. Nothing appears in the external realm that was not first formed in the invisible world of imagination. It is not a passive tool for fantasy or escape. It is the active creative force of your life. What you imagine with feeling, persistence, and conviction must express itself in the world around you. The world you experience is not separate from the images you hold in your mind. Every relationship, every circumstance, every opportunity is shaped by the inner pictures you consistently entertain. When you imagine something vividly and accept it as true, you impress it upon the subconscious mind, which responds without question or resistance. It takes the image and begins to mold reality in its likeness, using people, events, and situations as instruments to bring about the imagined end. Imagination is not bound by time, space, or logic. It is the infinite realm where all things are possible. You can revisit the past and rewrite it. You can leap into the future and dwell in a new outcome. You can create a reality entirely different from the one dictated by your senses. And the moment you do so with faith and feeling, the wheels of creation begin to turn. What you see with your inner eye becomes more substantial than what you see with your outer eye. This is not wishful thinking or daydreaming. It is a deliberate, conscious act of creation. To imagine is to choose the reality you prefer and inhabit it now, regardless of what your senses report. It is to create the scene, feel the outcome, and occupy the role of the one for whom it is already true. That inner movement initiates a corresponding shift in the outer world. Imagination is the first cause, everything else is effect. You attract what you are, not what you want. The universe does not respond to desire alone, it responds to identity. What you consistently embody within yourself, what you believe, feel, and accept as true on a deep level becomes the magnet that draws experiences to you. It is not enough to want something. Wanting often implies lack. The vibration of wanting says, I do not yet have. And the world mirrors that state of being back to you. But when you are something in consciousness, when you live and move from that state, life has no choice but to reflect it. You are always radiating a signal, a frequency, an atmosphere of being. This invisible energy is not determined by your words or even your conscious thoughts alone, but by your dominant feeling state. How you see yourself, how you carry yourself, how you expect the world to treat you. If you see yourself as loved, valuable, successful, and supported, that internal conviction radiates outward and magnetizes matching experiences. But if you feel overlooked, undeserving, or anxious, even while affirming the opposite, your true energetic state will still dictate the outcome. There is no deception in this process. You cannot pretend your way into a new reality while remaining internally identified with the old one. The law responds to who you are, not who you hope to become. Transformation happens when you change your state of being, when you shift from wanting to being, from hoping to knowing, from separation to unity with your desire. This change is not always dramatic or loud. It can be quiet, subtle, and deeply felt. But once the shift occurs, everything begins to realign. This is why external action without internal change often leads to frustration. You can chase, force, or hustle for what you want, but if your inner state contradicts the outcome you seek, the results will slip through your fingers. The key is to embody the version of yourself who already lives in the reality you desire. Think their thoughts, feel their feelings, move with their confidence. You are not trying to get to the thing, you are becoming the one for whom the thing naturally flows. When you shift your identity, the world reorganizes itself to match it. People show up differently, opportunities unfold, synchronicities increase. You no longer attract from a place of desperation, but from alignment. It is not about chasing desire, but merging with it, becoming the living embodiment of what you once thought was outside of you. Persistence dissolves doubt. It is not sheer repetition alone that carries power, but the steady, unwavering return to your chosen state, again and again, no matter what the senses say, no matter how long it seems to take. Doubt thrives in inconsistency. It grows in the gaps between your moments of belief, fed by your attention to external appearances. But persistence, calm, quiet, resolute persistence, burns through uncertainty and makes your assumption solid, immovable, alive. The mind may waver, the emotions may fluctuate, but persistence is the anchor that holds you in the truth of your desire. It is the silent declaration that says, "This is who I am," and refuses to be moved by the temporary noise of conditions. It does not argue with the world. It does not plead or beg. It simply returns to the inner knowing over and over until that knowing becomes the only reality you accept. Persistence is not effort in the traditional sense. It is not about straining or forcing the manifestation to come. It is the quiet inner discipline of remaining loyal to the end you have chosen. It is the art of dwelling in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when the outer world appears unchanged. And each time you return to that feeling, you are impressing it more deeply into the subconscious, allowing it to take root and grow beneath the surface. Doubt may still whisper, and circumstances may still try to distract you, but when you persist, you are declaring by your actions and attention that the imagined is more real to you than the visible. With each return to your inner state, doubt loses its voice. The outer world, once resistant, begins to bend, not because you fought it, but because you refused to abandon your vision. Persistence creates momentum. What once felt unfamiliar becomes natural. What once required effort becomes effortless. The inner state becomes your home, and the outer world must conform to it. You do not need to fight your doubts directly. You do not need to eliminate every fearful thought. You simply persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, and in doing so, dissolve the very foundation that doubt stands on. Miracles are natural. They are not rare exceptions to the rules of life, but the rules themselves, revealed when consciousness aligns with truth. A miracle is not the breaking of natural law. It is the revelation of a higher law, one that has always been present, quietly waiting for you to rise to its frequency. What seems extraordinary to the senses is ordinary to the soul, and what the world calls miraculous is simply the normal outcome of living in awareness of your power. The mind has been trained to believe that miracles are distant, unpredictable, or reserved for the few. But the truth is that miracles occur in every moment, unnoticed, in the quiet shifts of perception, in the alignment of thought and feeling, in the gentle unfolding of unseen forces into visible form. They happen the moment you let go of resistance and enter the state where the desired is already real. That state is not built by logic, but by acceptance. Not earned through worthiness, but accessed through assumption. Miracles are the natural consequence of living in alignment with your higher self, the version of you that knows there is no separation between thought and form, between desire and fulfillment. They appear when you stop trying to force reality and instead surrender to the reality already created in consciousness. In that surrender, you open the space for the invisible to become visible, for the unseen to take shape effortlessly. When you understand that your imagination is the root of reality and your feeling is the activator of creation, miracles cease to be anomalies and become the rhythm of your life. They emerge not from desperate hope, but from quiet certainty. Not from pleading, but from inner knowing. When you move through the world as one who expects the miraculous, not as fantasy, but as your natural inheritance, you begin to witness life rise to meet that expectation. There is no need to chase signs or wait for proof. The moment you assume the miracle is yours and feel its truth within, it begins to unfold. Not always in the way the mind predicts, but always in the way the heart understands. What was once a distant possibility becomes your lived reality, not because it was granted to you, but because it was always yours. And so, beloved, let this truth settle deeply within you. You are not here to chase miracles. You are here to embody them. You are the magnet, the center, the spark from which all creation flows. The world you see is not happening to you. It is responding to you, reflecting your assumptions, echoing your feelings, and taking shape around your state of being. Live as though your desires are already fulfilled. Assume the end. Feel it deeply. Persist in that inner knowing, and watch as the world bends to the power of your imagination. Miracles are not reserved for the few. They are the natural rhythm of one who dares to believe that consciousness is the only reality. So rise today, not in waiting, but in being, not in hoping, but in knowing. You are already everything you seek to become. Simply accept it, feel it, and live from it. Thank you for listening, thank you for feeling, and thank you for choosing to remember who you truly are.